How are
So
you?
when would be a good time to take it away? We have one colleague again.
Okay, we're ready, Mom.
You are?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I did the soft chocolate.
So, guys, I'm gonna call, unfortunately, we do not have a quorum for our cultural district meeting, but we are having an equally important meeting to discuss, planning for the Arts Festival. So, I want to thank everybody for being here, and if we could just go around the table real quickly and say who you are and what you represent, or whatever you'd like to say for the day. So, I'm Bonnie Hargrove. I'm director of the Center for the Arts, and I hold a seat on the Cultural District and serve as chair.
I'm Stacey Applegate. I am the secretary of the Northwest Quadrant Neighborhood Association.
I'm Linda Silk-Spielen, and I am also part of the Northwest Quadrant Neighborhood Association.
And I'm Candace Ellis, and I'm just volunteering for the Arts Festival as a kind of like a notes keeper and scheduler.
Yeah. We love you.
Trying to keep everybody on track.
I like it. My name is Ashley Brandon. I am the liaison for this cultural district for the city of Beaufort. I'm the downtown manager as well.
Yeah, no, I'm Sean. I'm running the meeting via social media and Facebook. Yeah, you're welcome.
And I'm Kay Merrill, Pigeon Point.
Stephanie Braswell, Pigeon Point as well.
Dan Blackman, Northwest Quadrant.
Enda Walker, Northwest Quadrant.
Scott Gibbs, Northwest Quadrant. Early Food Kinfolk, Color Festival.
Oh.
Do I keep going?
Yeah.
Linda Jeffries, and I'm on the cultural district.
So what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna just skip straight to what's going on. So I do want to tell everybody we've been working in this, and I met with a couple of other people to try to start putting together a timeline, a draft, a budget, all this sort of stuff, but it's nothing without this hopefully collaborative thing that we're building. Everything that we have is in draft form right now. We just need to put everybody together and know what a great opportunity that this is for our community, and something that I hope that will be here long after all of us are not sitting at this table. And it's basically an arts festival that's shaped on our neighborhoods and our culture and the people that we are here in Beaufort. It's going to be associated with the Taste of Beaufort, but it is not. That will still, and you correct me, Ashley, if I go in the wrong direction, but that will still happen in the waterfront park. Yes. Yes. And there'll also be the craft section. But what we're doing is we're taking these phenomenal neighborhoods that have such rich history of why Beaufort is so great, and having them showcase their neighborhoods and their talent. And, so that's just something to keep in mind. There's, again, nothing has been decided other than the date. Which is for part of May in 2026. So We have a quorum. we do? Yeah. I'm included in the form.
There you go.
Okay, got it. But bring the chair up here.
Sit there.
You say 26?
Yes.
But just, okay, slide.
So it's the first weekend of May.
Yes, and this will be a Saturday event. So Candace, only one day. There's going to be a plein air competition that will be multiple days, but it won't. See what I'm saying? So that's not what we do in one day. But the actual festivities in the neighborhood is a one day. Yeah. The neighborhoods that we're wanting to work with, of course, is the Washington Street Park, Northwest Quadrant.
That's the same thing.
Okay, I get that. I was just in case anybody. Yeah, I'm just doing clarifying. So we're trying to make sure that those neighborhoods all come together and give a vision and an identity to their park. and what activities we want there. Pigeon Point, which is a phenomenal park and a phenomenal neighborhood, is already kind of started talking, from what I understand, and getting ideas about what y'all would like to do. But I'm sure would love more guidance from us, which we're formulating now to be able to give you. The other part of the festival will be at USCB in the front of the lawn. And we will be having a plein air and fine arts area in the very front of USCB. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. We'll add, but it won't take away from the crafts or it won't take away from the food, because each of these venues or areas will also have the food they feel like is representative, the music, the or whatever of their area. So it will be an ongoing festival for here and forever. So that's why we're taking this year to make plans and to do it right. And thanks to Candace, actually have it on paper. So if any of us forget what it was we did, we'll be able to look to Candace and go, what did we say we're going to do?
Just say, oh, I didn't agree to that.
So she
Yes, you did.
Now, what is the name? It's just Arts Festival? What is it called?
So
Okay.
thanks on that. So Scott, you know my look. It's really the Taste of Beaufort, but
Call it Festival of the Arts. Taste of Beaufort, Festival of the Arts would be.
well, that's what we, I think that's something that the marketing committee is going to have to look at, because one of the things that we've talked about, I mean, briefly, but along, is the neighborhood part. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's about our culture, our neighborhoods, us. So if there's a way, that we can put in there culture, arts, and our neighbors, or I don't know, maybe there's some clever more than me, person, but we don't want to lose the branding that the city has done with Taste. Because this is just, Taste has been around, Ashley, how long? 25 years. Yeah. And so this is just to beef it up.
To augment it.
Yeah.
So you're having in front of USCB an art exhibition. And I can think off the top of my head that there are a significant number of artists in both Northwest Quadrant and Pigeon Point. Are they going to be in the USCB art exhibit, or are we talking about multiple art exhibits around town?
There should be multiple art exhibits around. Yeah, I mean, no one's saying you can't do something somewhere else or
No, but I'm
whatever.
just going to
Yeah,
clarify.
yeah, but it's going to be a jury show.
The one at USCB.
Right. It'll be, the artists will be juried in with their tents and whatever they have, and then that's just another committee. Like, there's the Washington Street Park Committee, which y'all represent, and then the Pigeon Point, and then there'll also be kind of this this committee working with artists to work on developing something that's similar to not Spoleto, but more of that fine art area where people can come in and meet with the artist, but that hasn't been fleshed out as much, but that's another meeting. So what I mainly want to talk about today, if that's okay, and then I'll keep you informed on the next one, really is how we want to determine or what it might look like in these parks. So so just to make sure that everybody feels like they have a voice, I'd like to shut up for a minute. And Kay, could you tell us what's going on?
Well,
What are you?
I'm a little confused actually, because I thought we were talking more about that door locks when you close it, just so you know. I thought we were talking about more of a focus on the neighborhoods, not necessarily art in the neighborhoods.
It can, if that's what they want to add, like artists doing their work in your park, you can do that. That's what we're trying to, right now to define what those activities are.
When we talked about this early on, our little group in the neighborhood, and help me with this, we talked about focusing on essentially on the ambiance and the history of Pigeon Point.
Right.
And there's some really kind of quirky, interesting things in Pigeon Point.
Yeah.
What we envisioned is using sort of the backside of the park on the other side of the driveway, on the more open side, and having several, for the lack of a better term, booths set up, if you will, let's say half a dozen of those around in the back, each one of them focusing on some aspect of Pigeon Point history or local history or whatever it might happen to be, and combine those with activities for kids, specifically for kids. So if we were talking about oysters, for example.
Industry.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we know that down towards the boat landing, there was an oyster factory, that kind of thing. So we've got kids making Tracy's sneaking around. There you go. So if we're focusing on oysters, we've got oyster shell art.
Yeah.
For kids to get involved in, that kind of thing. I don't know that we were thinking so much about artists.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think that's why we're doing this, is basically, just to say, and everything you said sounds wonderful and exactly what it needs to be. We're not asking you to do fine art, I don't think.
It's experiential.
Yeah,
Experiential.
it's more what's gonna make families and come in and participate and stuff like that, but I don't think it has to be. But we want to hear what y'all want it to be. What does your neighborhood want to work towards? Is what we're really kind of looking at.
Do you envision, if there are artists that have art and crafts that they like to sell, do you envision vendors and food vendors in each of these locations? Or
We'd like there
is it
to be
just exhibition?
Again, I do feel like we would like to have some form of performing arts in each one of them. So did y'all think about any sort of music that might be played in the park? Or
We thought about music, but we didn't think about performing arts necessarily.
well,
Performing arts could be music.
yeah.
It's however you define it.
Yeah. So I mean, it can be just something because we want that kind of festival feeling, but however, whatever would be.
See, that's where the Washington Street Park is strength is. With you and, that's where that park's strength really is that performance stage.
So is this going on during the Taste of
Yes.
Beaufort?
The Saturday of it.
The Saturday of, right?
Right.
And so it needs to be something that's going to attract people away from
Downtown.
We're hoping to have a shuttle, which I think Ashley can talk about a little bit, because we're hoping that will be in place by then. Cross fingers, 2 years, blah, blah, blah.
or something that make me leave
Yeah.
the.
That you would move. You could go to all the different parks if you wanted to. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like a shuttle loop. Get on, you get off here, get on, get off there, get on, go back where you start.
So the Taste has multiple stops.
Multiple venues, yeah.
Which is really the theme. It's a taste of Beaufort. It's not just in the park, it's a little bit of what Beaufort is about.
Yes. Telling the history and the culture and the neighborhood.
Especially if the park is getting significant work done on it.
Sure. We don't know where that will be at that time. You're exactly right.
We'll have a nice pavilion by then. That'll be done.
Are we talking about Washington?
At Washington.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, when y'all were meeting and all of those different activities, did you, was there anything else that y'all came up with? I mean, what you've got is perfect.
Well, I sent you a message, and I'll just read what I sent to Bonnie, because you didn't share this, but
no, I have not.
I said there's interest in focusing on both nature and history, especially history specific to Pigeon Point. We think it would be fun to have a series of booths or displays set up around the outer walkway at Pigeon Point Park, perhaps as many as 5 or 6. Each would offer information as well as hands-on activities, particularly with kids in mind. There were lots of creative ideas about using native materials, i.e. pine cones, oyster shells, etc. We love the idea of a mascot, a costumed pigeon. Brilliant. And we have identified but not alerted the neighbor who probably would fit that role. That's because we'll talk about that. We also talked about the possibility of a handout such as a tote bag that could be used in all the, and something that would be, that would work for the whole group. So particularly if people were walking away with brochures or fun stuff or whatever it is. So we liked that idea. We had one neighbor who was particularly interested in investigating, inviting one of the local groups that displays raptors. So our idea was really hands-on and sort of veered away from the more specific arts kind of thing. We have several talented musicians in the neighborhood and want to include them. We didn't talk about food particularly. I don't think any of us was crazy about the idea of food trucks, but if food trucks, I mean, if that's what people want to go with, then we'll certainly
well, we want food really fits in.
Right, exactly.
It might not be enough. Yeah,
So we have to make decisions about that.
right, but no, but everything you said, okay, thank you.
So that was the direction we were going in, focusing more on history and activities. I will say that I changed my thinking a little bit, and I haven't talked to Stephanie about this, who's not listening, but I haven't talked to her about this. When I was at the Touch a Truck event the other day, there were things way back in the park. I mean, way back in the park. There were all kinds of things going on. And I felt like some of those things that were way in the back didn't get as much attention. They were too far away from the rest of it. And so I think our idea probably needs to be, let's pull that a little closer in a bit. So that it's easy to walk around and enjoy things in fairly close proximity.
Well, I know that y'all do not need this, but I would love to give y'all applause because I feel like y'all really thought through. I mean, yeah, thank you.
You've also
But what you've done, which is great, is you've also kind of given a template for us to kind of think about throughout this whole.
So the other locations can follow that template, but choose their own theme.
Yeah,
So for instance,
do their own thing.
Like you were saying, the music
Talk about entertainment and performing.
more in that area and not so much what we represent.
Well,
And then I would claim too that then we wouldn't be competing, and
No.
I'd rather not go there.
it's something new, something different.
We're not offering the same thing in each part.
Hopefully none of them will seem the same because they're not the same. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Not the same history,
not the same.
They're very different.
Yeah, so.
But I mean, if we're doing art, if everybody's doing art, everybody's doing performance,
Just give
why would I go
It's
to
the same
this
thing
one?
over and over.
Yeah, so.
But I do, I mean, and I agree with you, this is not agreeing, but I'm sorry, I have to have music everywhere I go. So you know what I'm saying, some sort of, it doesn't have to be, it can just be part of the ambiance to have some sort of music or something. And whether it's more, your park is more kids oriented, maybe it's more kids performers. I don't know, this is all, I don't know, but let's have a show. Yeah. Let's just make it work. So there's no wrong answer or whatever. It's this is why y'all are crucial to what this is going to look like.
And a critical piece has been, and actually you jump in on this, with the Taste of Beaufort over the years, is struggling to figure out what are kids' activities that can go along with it when people are coming for the alcohol, they're coming for the big band, they're coming for, those things. So I think taking it a different realm is going to be huge, because it'll now make it for everybody in Beaufort to be able to enjoy.
Based on what she's talking about and what Scott's talking about, I almost feel like it's more like a cultural festival than an art festival.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
very
think
much so.
arts
I like
and
that.
culture.
Arts
I think
and
it's-
culture,
Arts,
yeah.
history and culture, yeah.
Because you do have the art portion that's gonna be at USCB, so I think that gives it a broader spectrum too. Instead of, because there might be people that are not all that interested in art. I don't know why, but, you know,
Well,
when you say culture, that gives them more of a feel of what Beaufort is all about.
It's about, it's not, and excuse me for jumping in here, but it's about what experience do you want people to enjoy that tells the story of your neighborhood? And that is family oriented, that's neighborhood oriented, that's culture. It could be art, it could be music, it could be storytelling, it could be history, it could be a ton of things, but something that what story about your neighborhood do you want people to know about, to experience?
Basically, it's what is it about your neighborhood that makes you want to live there?
And makes it unique.
Well, and you know, I think as we have more of these meetings and we kind of talk about what works and what doesn't work, yeah, they're probably, if the main food's gonna be down at the park, maybe we just need to make sure there's water and snacks at each park, just for people like snacks.
Well, you know, I would actually, because I think you're gonna get different audiences than would normally go to Taste of Beaufort. And, you know, they may not be going down to the waterfront park, but they're gonna definitely come to Washington and Pigeon Point because one, proximity, so you get a lot of your neighborhood engaged and people coming. But I think also because more and more people want something tactile, they want to learn and experience what's happening in Beaufort. And the big stuff that's happening at the park is nighttime. You know, with the band at night, but then the taste is, what time does the taste start during the day?
It's 11 to 4 on Saturday.
So it's got the taste
Definitely
going
during the
on, but there may be people who choose not to go there, but just to go to, you know, the other locations.
And we're only talking about those 4 locations.
Yes, yeah, at for the first year.
Yeah.
And then some other neighborhoods might say, cool, we can jump on board next time.
But right now, we're just gonna concentrate in those 4 areas.
What was
Do it well, do it first. Yeah.
So I mean, so the performance stage should be done by that time, which does give you a phenomenal place.
Yes. Yep.
Washington Park, yeah.
So just to switch over, because we've got such a great representation, what are some of y'all's thoughts or concerns or ideas or anything, hearing some of this?
Funding.
Uh-huh.
So how do say we get a significant thing for them? How do we pay for it?
That's what we need to know, what it is it looks like, so that we know the amount of money that we need to be going. We've identified a number of grants. We've identified potential sponsors. We've identified the city. You could actually, you know more about what it takes to do a taste.
Yes.
But we've,
Yeah.
yeah.
Budget on the city side. But I always go after sponsors for Taste of Beaufort, for Shrimp Festival. I always approach sponsors for that, and that kind of gives us a little bit of.
Would you want each neighborhood to approach sponsors, or do you want additional sponsors for the overall event? Because if each neighborhood is looking for sponsors, there might be some overlap.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, you also have people who are really, really good at it and people who are not so good at it.
Yeah, I think.
And it makes it kind of unfair.
Yeah, you need someone to go after sponsors.
Yeah,
for the overall.
And I feel like that's gonna be kind of more fall under the marketing budget committee, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, we have to get a vision, so we know what we need to price out, so we know what we can do, sort of thing. And I know we're gonna be meeting with Ashley soon, you know, to talk about, so what does it cost? You know, I mean, you know, down to the penny, of what we're looking at. But, no, there will be additional funds that will be requested and asked.
I'm sort of fantasizing about with the street park. If you're sitting there, what, it's 11 to 4, you said, 11 to 5? 11 to 4, okay, so you have an act each hour. You have a musical act happening on stage each hour, so that there's never a dead time. And that means that you've got 5 groups that you're pulling in to sort of do that. And it could be like, okay, this is the performance stage. It's happening that day in the daytime, not at nighttime, which is, but.
The only nighttime is Friday.
The only nighttime is Friday night,
Right.
and to be honest, there is talk of changing Taste of Beaufort completely and possibly just doing Saturday, so.
And if you did that, would it
everything's
be all
up in
day
the air.
Saturday and Saturday night, then performances Saturday night,
We would
or just 11 to 4?
11 to 4.
To Saturday. Well, and what our thought is, and I'm sorry I got here late, Lisa with the Historic Beaufort Foundation, and I serve on the Cultural District Advisory Board also. But what our kind of initial thought was is that we then add an addition to that we need to be included as a part of the Tastes budget. So that becomes the umbrella, the Taste becomes the umbrella. And then requests for sponsorship then include what all we have going on, and then the potential for us getting grants add to that. So that's our goal. And we haven't defined what that number looks like in addition to the Taste normal number, because we wanted to hear from y'all sort of what your ideas were. And all of us at some point have either participated or been a volunteer and understand how festivals and events work. What makes this one challenging is that it's in varying locations.
It strikes me that one of the things that's gonna be critical is what we call this thing.
Yes.
The name is gonna determine whether people are gonna stay downtown or try to get out and see other things.
Neighborhood, or, you know what I'm saying, like some word that would make it seem multiple locations.
Mosaic.
We've got a lot of talent around this
Yeah.
table.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I mean, I think that's something, if y'all want to spend a little time talking about that, we can. What I'd like to hear some enthusiasm, like what Linda was talking about, from everybody, on the various things that maybe we haven't thought about that we could do. Because again, if you've got, your performance would be amazing, but what else are y'all thinking would be just off the top of your head, no pressure?
I mean, the strength in the neighborhood is the music. I mean, what you and Anita bring to the neighborhood is the neighborhood.
Mhm.
And,
I think going off the template, I think the idea is to go off the template, so we know so what about like kids, what could we offer the kids when they
so
come?
you have Anita sitting there with storytelling.
Yes.
And Anita can totally mesmerize people.
Yes.
For a long, and she's just that, Aunt Pearlie Sue's storytelling hour.
Yeah.
And then Scott rolls in with like the mega band, the mega music, and then you're sitting there and going, and then then you pull in maybe, a couple other things, but we've got 5 hours
Mhm.
in which we've got to come like, and they got to. They
I
can't be,
remember, Ant is a storyteller as well.
Mhm.
And then there's
So,
just,
yeah.
yeah, but it's one of those things in which it's just a nice little, so there's never any dead air.
Right.
There's always something, and people could sit there and go, oh man, I need to get up here because I really want to see this there. And then I really want to know what's happening here. And so you're pulling people from dun to dun, because I'm not expecting everybody to spend all day at any one place.
Right.
Is there any sort of hands-on activity that kids could get involved in that would be appropriate in that neighborhood? Instruments?
I mean, you've also got, I always go back to Sweet Hank Aaron, who, always seems to be able to bring, some sort of art activity for kids. I mean, y'all got enough artists, as you said, Linda,
Well,
in there.
and that's why I
to-
was wondering is whether the juried art at USCB prevent some people who really could participate, but won't because it's a jewelry art show.
But it could be something like making palmetto roses or something.
That's
what I was thinking, palmetto roses or.
I think and again, this is all, I think we were mainly kind of going off the plein air to be able to have that activity on the inside. But I mean, I think if there's art activities or somehow at all of the parks, I don't think.
You don't think that's a bad thing?
I don't, because I'm art.
Well, no,
You
but
know what I'm saying?
no,
I
I'm
mean,
just sitting there and
I'm
going
like,
like,
oh, no,
okay, if you have booths, you're gonna have booths set up at USCB. So you could literally have actually, you could have a clothesline art show of the kids' art happening, all strung along the fence line at the park line. And it's just a clothesline art show in which the kids could be there, and there could even be.
They can create their art while they're there and have fun.
Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
be fun. That would be great.
And maybe you come up with a theme, maybe you don't, it just.
But it just, because they need some activity when, sure, if you have a stage performance every hour, but it's not gonna take an entire hour, you're gonna have some dead time between performers, you have to have some activity.
oh, that's what I
Families
said, there
and
shouldn't be
kids
any
to-
dead time. I mean, truly, there shouldn't be any dead time.
Can I ask a question? Sure. With respect to the Northwest Quadrant, is there anything about the history of your neighborhood that can be reflected in any activity that's going on?
This is where Pearly Sue is.
Right.
Northwest Quadrant's neighborhood is unique and its story is unique.
That's why I'm asking, that's why I'm asking. So, I mean, rather than the storytelling, how do you permeate that into just about everything?
Well, what I was thinking, Dan and I was just talking about is a scavenger hunt. Yes. So as you're going different places, we'll have things pertaining to history, things pertaining to the neighborhoods and all of that. So even a child, as they go there, when they find something, we can always have a handout or something to give them. A little something, that they'll have, and they'll get a little bit of the history when they find that item that's a part of the scavenger hunt.
So is the scavenger hunt across all the parks or just within the?
Just within Washington.
Just within Washington, okay.
Or that neighborhood.
Yeah,
I like the idea
That'd be kind of cool to pull the whole event together with a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
And that fits in with your clothesline also, because as they're going around looking for the scavenger items, they can participate with the clothesline art on the outside of the fence, on the inside of the outer fence. But and we will have hopefully finished by that time a community mural showing, which will be a center place. I don't know if you've seen the plan for the park, but basically if this is the park, at the end is the pavilion. Right there, you can enter 2 or 3 different ways on the walkways, but on this side is the community mural that's proposed. It shows the history of the park, not Washington Street, not the neighborhood, but of the park, which in itself is a huge part of the neighborhood. And that will have children involved in the paint, in the mural. There will be children pictured, so that will attract families over there to take pictures. Then you have the pavilion at the top for performances. And you can have the clothesline on one or all of the wherever you want on the inside of the fencing. So then you have a scavenger hunt that could send people all the way around the park.
That was so neat. One thing that recently, and maybe not so recently, because I remember doing it as a child too, but is that idea of friendship stones that is happening now all over the place, where you go somewhere and there's a stone that's been left and then you're supposed to take it, pass it on and put it somewhere else. That the kids create, but maybe you don't use a stone, you choose something else, oyster shells, whatever, but that just kind of seemed like a fun thing with the scavenger hunt, so you pass it on.
And I think
kind of expanding on that, if you did some kind of passport, like if you visit all the parks, then maybe you can enter for a raffle, maybe we could get sponsors, maybe it's a boat, the boat that goes out or something like that, to really try to get people to go to all the venues, or, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, as long as we keep it kind of simple for the first year, you know what I'm saying, so that
Right,
I wanna be able to.
how to get people to go,
Yeah.
make sure they go around, if there's nothing like a little raffle or something, it'd be some sort of
That says
competition.
that forces them to go there.
Incentive.
Yeah.
That's a really good.
Yeah.
Missy comes up with these gems, and we find that she.
Like I said, I don't know, Ashley's really creative, she could probably think of some of the raffles that we could do if you go to all the parks, whether it's a Yeti ice bucket or something like that you get, Bay Street Outfitters to donate or something, you have that like maybe 3 different. I love the inner raffle. I don't do that. I love the idea of the possibility.
One of the great things about that is you capture their email address and then you're marketing to them again next year, so you're able to
Create your.
So within we were talking about the budget, so if we're talking about performers and all of that, are we paying performers? Because.
I kind of. Yes.
Okay.
But again, you're gonna have a budget, so.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So you
Pay within the budget.
if you if you can figure out how to do whom with what.
Right. Right.
Then, but you'll have to also, there'll be a production side of it, I'm saying like Greg or somebody is out there that will handle all of the technical side where people just plug in and go. So, and that will be available, there and can be available in a very simple way, even in Pigeon Point. But those are the sort of things that we'll have a budget for each of those areas of having, something going on.
And keep in mind too, there may be some kids groups, that are really fabulous, that all they want is the recognition and PR. So see how you might want to build that into what you're thinking about too.
Performance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like.
And again, when is this? We're thinking about what time of the year, because you're saying May.
May.
First weekend in May.
2026.
All right, yeah, right. Because that's Gullah Festival month, so just gonna make sure.
Oh, I know, yeah, so much goes on, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of like the October of the spring, right? Yeah, let's see how many things we can do.
May 1st and 2nd.
First and second?
So May 1st is Saturday?
May 1st and 2nd, 2026.
Okay,
So it's the second.
oh, so it's the 2nd,
Yes.
okay,
May 2nd is Saturday.
Yes.
I think Peggy is on Zoom. If we all want to say hi to Peggy, where is she? Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
Hey, baby.
Hi, you all. Sorry I'm not there in person, but I have some ideas and kind of piggybacking on, I think it was Lisa that mentioned stones or something for the kids.
Yeah.
I immediately started making friendship bracelets because to me, how I see this is using all types of art to discuss and to tell the story of everything. So, if you're from arts to visual arts to culinary arts to literary arts, so, food, architecture, music, dance, painting, basket making, photography. We can have face painting for the kids. There's all kinds of creative things we can do. I really see it as an inclusive outdoor arts festival that tells the story of each neighborhood and really provides an immersive cultural experience by the artists. And I think we have a lot to work with. And I think we'll get a lot of people that want to volunteer their time and help us, be it from performers to volunteers on site to help make it happen and everything beforehand and afterwards. So I'm excited about it. But I think like Kay says, I think it's really important that we know what we're going to call this animal, because getting people to buy in, we got to start there, because we got to get them to come, because otherwise we'll do all this for nothing. So those are my multitude of thoughts.
Thank you, Peggy. I'm actually going to throw Candace under the bus at this point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As long as you know that's where you're headed.
Okay.
Okay, you got it. So, so Candace, I think the name, or us coming up with something with this fabulous cohesive group, if you would kind of take the leadership role.
Okay.
And you understand where's the facilitator, to go through that process. Does that sound great for y'all?
Bonnie, before we do that, we only have 20 minutes left exactly. We can still have the room afterwards, but can we go ahead and do, since we have a forum, can we go ahead and go through this? It won't take long.
Okay, I'm busy outside. So I was trying to get it done.
So if we could just go through that and then we could go right back to it.
Okay, so we're at this point for probably 5 minutes, we're just going to talk about, go through our agenda. We've been called to order already. Review of the minutes. Are there any changes or anything from our April 17th meeting? If so.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you.
I second.
There you go. Awesome. So moved. Old businesses update on the Arts Festival. I think we're hearing it.
Yes.
So I think we can move from there. The new business is, we have come up with a, due to our recertification from the state. So the cultural district is actually a designation from the state, the area or whatever, and then we're underneath the city. So we had to go through a recertification. And during that time, we realized that we needed to update our strategic and marketing plan. So we've submitted basically a bare bone that we want to talk about at the next meeting. You'll be receiving it via email, hopefully today, that we can look at. And if anybody wants to meet individually to discuss ideas, that would be great. Great in the summer, just not the fall. So if we want to do that, then at our next meeting, try to get something that's a little bit more concrete. It's just taking care of business. So, I do know that under new business, we are going to need to discuss some of the benefits do need from love. And so we're going to have to figure out how in our budget, which is not very large from the city, how we're going to actually love our benches again and what that's going to look like.
It's a good time though, because our new budget starts July 1. So.
Got it. So we just need to take an inventory of those benches, and we've already gotten an inventory from the Arsenal area that those two definitely need it.
And I'll take care of the one during the month of August.
Okay.
Okay, so by the end of August.
Box of chocolates.
Box of chocolates done.
Good.
But is it possible to consider the mermaid and the city park? Is that something that the city should do? Because she needs a little love and restoration too.
Which one? The mermaids? Oh yeah, we already talked about that.
Oh, you've already talked about
Yeah, Linda and I have talked about it. We've been updating around.
A little green these days.
Where we updated. Did you see all the things we did around landscaping and stuff?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Okay, got it.
So that's on that list.
Yes.
Okay.
I will remind her.
Okay. So at this point, Ashley, if you're
yes,
confident,
yes,
and capable, whatever. I mean, we usually go around the room and talk about things that are happening, but I feel like that's what is happening right now.
Yeah.
So at this point, we'll just adjourn the cultural district meeting, and look forward to what.
Like the email I sent you the other day about
for
Sunday.
Right, and it didn't make it to this. So I sent it
No,
on.
totally good.
Yeah.
I had already sent it. Because the holiday we were.
You already sent the agenda.
Yeah, I already sent the agenda.
Already posted. Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't anything we were
No,
trying to overlook.
I'm fine.
Okay. So anyhow, we'll adjourn from that and get back to our fun, let's name a festival planning committee.
So I'm sorry, your name is?
Linda.
Linda. Scott.
Yeah, so just one quick question. So when we go through the process, is that if we can make sure that this doesn't look like anything else we're already doing?
We said something earlier in the hour about the taste of Buford and what taste means. Right, so I think he made an interesting remark about taste means get a taste of Buford, means get an experience that gives you a taste of what Buford really is, who Buford is, what Buford was, who Buford is right now, and why it's so special.
So if kind of put that, I'm just throwing that out there in terms of a hat with respect to a name that catches. And I don't know how this is going to merge with Taste of Beaufort official name, but this is up for discussion in terms of what you think is representative of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, and I was first gonna say that, if you go to, and this for Ashley, if you go to the website for the Taste of Beaufort, and it's got kind of variations of the logo, but it purpose is experience the culture, music, and food of the Low Country. So that's what they currently use, which covers a lot of ground. But the goal is how do we make sure that we're integrated,
right? And we make it fresh so they know something new's happening.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
How about neighborhood delights? I mean, it's corny, but it goes with the taste and it's different.
I don't have this completed, but it was just something that I did what do you call that?
That's what I was thinking about too.
Down TAST, and then I put like the bottom was experience or experiences, and A for art. I mean, art. If you do taste, did down instead of across.
Yeah,
TAST.
like teach.
Yeah, but that's still saying exactly what they're advertising.
Well, that's why I don't have all the answers to all the letters. But it was just kind of a way to make me like experiences, and then if some of that might give us some thoughts on. Anyway, it might not work, but it was just where my brain.
T's in it, so it's.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that, but just my brain went like,
Okay.
we do crossword puzzle.
We appreciate you calling out because there's no wrongs.
You know, we're just.
This is why.
I think maybe like tell the story or something like that. So it could be a phrase.
I like the story. Right, the stories could be,
Stories of Beaufort or stories of
stories of history, stories of Beaufort.
I was just thinking something like fabric of the town, or fabric of
Yeah,
the city or something.
I like the visual on that.
Yeah, because that's, the fabric is a tapestry. And
Yeah.
it's a tapestry, it's a kaleidoscope, it's a mosaic, it's it's.
So he plugged it into the chat GPT, which is AI.
I was just thinking that, all these are the chat.
And he got tradition, arts, sounds, taste, experience.
Traditions.
You know what? It's all
Very good.
culture.
I like that.
All of that is our culture. That's right.
Yeah, but I get this sense, and this is might just me personally saying, and I'm stepping outside my facilitating it, but culture is kind of like uber used.
Yeah.
Something that people can say, that sounds delicious. That sounds soulful. That sounds like something that I need to spend time with.
Something that resonates with your soul.
Yes,
Kind of a
exactly.
feel.
Yeah, that.
I do like the word experience.
And I do like the word stories.
That's what I want, I've been watching y'all been talking, what you thinking?
No, she was talking about the fabric of it, about town.
Yeah,
I like that.
I do too.
Mm-hmm. I like that too.
Ashley, what about you? You gotta live with this, you gotta make it, you gotta raise the money.
Yeah, I like
Freelance.
I mean, I think all of it is really good. I think when you go to a marketing standpoint, you really want it to explain what it is.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where my brain is if we're gonna leave Taste of Beaufort, then you need a tagline that says, I'm thinking something about that you're traveling from one place to another, that it's not just downtown, you want to be fresh. I think it's gonna have to say something about being in different locations. I don't know what that would be, but I think
Ashley, I have an idea. How about Taste of Beaufort, an immersive neighborhood festival?
Oh.
Neighborhood
Neighborhood I believe in.
So ChatGPT wants to use the word heritage.
Heritage.
Well, that's
That's,
been
we,
used.
I feel like we're all on
Heritage,
heritage.
that's a, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's.
that's not a bad thing, it's just,
No, I
it's
put all the
it's redundant.
here and it
Yeah.
came up heritage.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and you've got to think about too, the timing of this, that it doesn't, compete with the Gullah Festival.
Mhm.
And, right, you know, a lot of the.
So,
Something like that.
is it fair to say Taste of Beaufort stays?
It has to stay.
I got to say.
Taste
Taste of Beaufort stays,
We're
but we need
just
a
adding-
tagline.
So can we do something like weaving the fabric or something like that?
We
about-
are the fabric weaving through our neighborhood, something.
Weaving the fabrics through our
Right.
neighborhood.
Somehow get it down to 3 words.
Yeah,
Do you want to say, just so it's not this huge,
cumbersome.
yeah.
So I like that because, I like this, an active.
Yeah, weaving the fabric of our.
We need
I
strong
like-
words.
And I like the active, because this is an active event, right? So I like that activeness. So we've got a lot of words here. We've got weaving, we've got tapestry, mosaic, tradition, heritage, maybe not, stories. But again, something that just goes, ooh, what is that about? You know, and I don't know.
About weaving the
Celebrating
tapestry
our
of our
neighborhood
neighborhood.
soul.
What did you say?
Celebrating our neighborhood soul.
The souls of our neighborhood or neighborhood.
I kind of like the weaving. I like the word weaving. Weaving the fabric of our neighborhood.
Any other thoughts?
I gotta tell you, none of this goes. I'm waiting for something really just, boy, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
But it's not gonna,
just celebrate the culture. I know we've talked about culture as.
Or celebrating
Oh,
Beaufort's neighborhoods, neighborhood culture, neighborhood.
Yeah, neighborhood experience.
Experience the neighborhood culture.
Yeah.
I wanna,
So yes, celebrate culture together, weaving culture together.
I really like an active verb. I really like that. Immersing ourselves.
and we're not going to be able to say what it's all going to be in the titles, because it's gonna have to be the description after that, but it has to be Taste of Beaufort for sure.
Is this gonna go in with the advertising of Taste of Beaufort?
Yes.
So it's gonna be inclusive?
Yes.
It'll most likely live below the logo, whatever that.
And you have
John will be designing that logo.
and it has to be something that's going to appeal to people and make them want to come here. So it can't be too
And easily
ethereal,
understood.
you know, it has to
And
be.
I think I really love the idea of, and it can't be the same.
Yeah.
It has to sound, which I think is what Kay's saying, nothing's sounding really exciting yet.
Yeah, and nothing
Nothing
that
makes
sounds
me-
anything like, I wanna bring my kids and come.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I kind of, is this a festival just for children?
no, it's family.
Yeah, family event.
Can we,
Talk of the neighborhood.
so if we have a marketing expert, can we maybe, that's, get an idea? Pull you in there.
No, I think a lot of it's gonna be in the education piece that lives after this, so whatever we figure out the tagline that leading forward, if it's in print or if it's in video, short form, long form, there's gonna be an explanation piece that needs to come.
Right.
And then when they're there, then they'll get an idea, but I think the storytelling before they get there is what is gonna lead a lot of this, leading them to where they need to be at. So I don't think it all necessarily needs to be in this tagline of 3 words, but
You
it's.
just need them,
it's-
you need the title catchy enough that
Yeah.
they're going to read on
Yeah.
and wanna come.
Right.
So when y'all think, is there an exciting a word that made you go to an event that was in the
Typically
tagline?
not now.
So,
That's just saying, yeah, 3, okay.
Because I don't care what you call it, I'm still gonna need to know what it's gonna be, so I have to read the rest of it to know what it's.
Yeah, if I see festival, that makes me think of something that's gonna be fun. That word, I mean, just think of events that I've wanted to go to, and when I think festival, I think it's just.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
That's the word festival makes me.
Yeah.
Neighborhood festival. I was gonna say, this is Beaufort's first
I like
neighborhood
that.
festival.
I think culture and cultural is kind
So-
of, is a good
Cultural
buzzword.
festival.
So
Yeah,
what if
I like
we,
arts and cultural, or cultural and arts festival, go back to the fact that we are having this art festival.
so we have Taste of Beaufort, why don't we savor the flavor of our city, our neighborhood, our community, or something
That's
like
cute.
that?
That's cute.
I like that.
Okay, so savor the flavor of Beaufort, there you go. Yep, yep.
What do we send a check?
So again, that's an active verb, so.
You know, I'm a big applaud person.
Very good.
However,
Uh-huh.
that just reinforces the whole food myth thing.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily, because flavor could be jazz, it's music.
I know that, but it's the savory, the flavor is still predominantly culinary.
Yeah.
But the idea in the beginning was to have food at each park.
Right. Yeah.
That represents each park, so you could, there is
You could do
really great
rice.
Gola festival.
Yeah.
There are
So
Gola
are we
trucks.
actually really still talking about having food at each park?
Yeah,
That was
we
the
had
definition.
been, yeah.
Yeah, this is this is truly a planning
And
committee.
even if it's a food
Talk it
truck.
through.
Right. But that there would be something.
To represent.
Those are
Schools to
Okay,
have
so
city
that-
island.
we hadn't talked about that at all up to leading up to this.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's why the new concept today.
It was mentioned at the meeting that we
No,
had.
but today, today's meeting, that's the first time that's been brought up.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
it's maps instead of,
Yeah, and Linda, I think it may be, or whatever, it's just more what y'all want it to be.
Mhm.
But we just, in my mind, whenever I go anywhere, unfortunately, I think, what am I going to eat? So I realize that is my own personal issue.
But again, some people may only go to a
How about
neighborhood
if we do this?
and.
Uh-oh, here we go.
How about if we do
There we go.
this? How about if we do this?
Savoring culture.
savoring our neighborhoods. But that almost sounds like saving.
Yeah.
I like savor the flavor.
Yeah.
But you know, here's the thing, that's just your title and tagline. You're never gonna see that without some description, as Sean said, there's going to be some description
Savor our
of what it
neighborhoods.
is afterwards.
I think,
So here's a chat GPT recommendation.
Yes.
Connecting communities, savoring the flavor, weaving the rich tapestry of our cultures.
Wow.
That's a little wordy.
But it's,
What does it say?
it's some things to like, I'm not saying this is it, right? Connecting communities.
So let's get the word celebrate up on the board.
Savoring the
Yeah.
flavor.
And what is the event? What is it?
It's your
Cultural art?
Yeah.
What is it?
Tapestry.
That's,
of our
and that's what
culture.
I think, it might need to be very simple and just explain what it is. Yeah.
We don't like weaving.
That's what I would, my suggestion would be Taste of Beaufort Cultural and Arts Festival.
Without,
A cultural.
without chat GPTs.
What is that?
I'm sorry, somebody said something, put something that. Celebrate.
Just for whatever. What's that? Savoring what? Savoring.
So is it safe to assume, and Ashley, I'll ask you this question, we're always gonna call the event Taste of Beaufort?
Right.
But now
So
we're,
it needs to have a subtext or whatever.
since we're
That-
changing it, we're adding to it, we want it to be fresh, we want it to be new, but we want people to know what it is. And that's why my suggestion would be Taste of Beaufort, a cultural and Arts Festival.
I agree.
And leave it at that, but then you could run your marketing with Savor the Flavor. And then you could add the celebrate and the weaving in all the marketing for it and the explanation and the education of the event itself.
Well, and thinking of Sean's creativity and in doing this, right now, the logo has a fork. And on that fork, it says culture, food, music, right?
Yeah.
So instead of a fork now, instead, maybe you have 4 symbols of, what, can be. And Sean's gonna brilliantly come up with something for that. Like a pigeon.
Yeah.
Who is the pigeon? I do want to know.
Because they should be the mascot for the whole event.
Okay, so we got some ideas around taglines, and we've got all of these descriptive words that can be used either in a tagline or can be used to describe what the tagline really means.
Right.
You don't want your tagline too long, and you don't want it too descriptive because it pigeonholes. Sorry, it pigeonholes what the event is, and it doesn't give you the opportunity to change it, make it flexible as time goes on. So I think if it's a cultural and arts festival, culture is food, music, entertainment, arts, it all goes in this.
Right.
That's everything. And then in your marketing and advertising, that's when you do all these descriptions to make it new and exciting.
So instead of immersing in our name, maybe it's immerse yourself.
Right.
That's our neighborhoods.
In our neighborhoods. Savor the flavor.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I have a great new idea, Kay and Stephanie, for you now. You could, since we said pigeonhole, why don't you have a little golf green? And pigeons that made it into a hole.
Oh my God.
Or you could
Let's just say pigeons.
It's no longer a cornhole.
Laugh all you want to about the very first golf course in Beaufort County was located near Pigeon Point Park.
There you go.
That's right.
That's right. But they weren't pigeons, man.
So the cornhole board is now breaking out of the pigeon, and you're tossing to, yeah.
You can do all kinds of things.
No pigeon was hurt in the process.
All right.
Exactly.
I want to be sensitive for time because I know everybody has something else to do, but what would you want to see next steps with respect to tightening this up? Kind of coming to.
I like what Enda suggested under that cultural arts festival, savor the fact, kind of our neighborhood or flavor, whatever.
I like that.
Savoring
our,
savor the flavor of our neighborhoods.
And then the description, I think if they experience our neighborhoods, you don't have to say immerse yourself, that sounds a little.
Yeah,
Immerse is a little heavy.
So I think what if this works for y'all, I will, since we now have your email, I'll be more than happy to send all of that.
Take a picture.
Yeah, around, thanks to who I throw up under the bus. We can send that around, but I mean, especially at the kind of at the end of the day, it also goes to Sean and to Ashley, I mean, we've got to make sure it works in the cohesive plan of what they're doing. But I know you're listening to us about the freshness, including our neighborhoods, figuring out something that makes it feel like it's moving. So I mean, I think you've got lots to work with, and at the next meeting, maybe Sean, you could kind of come back with something that kind of gives it an idea of why we're going that way.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah. So I really appreciate all of our time, and we've got more fun to come. So I'm looking forward to it, but I need to know kind of a commitment. I don't need to know. I need we need a commitment from, I think we've gotten a commitment from Pigeon Point. I feel like we have a verbal commitment from y'all. Who is our point person, or do y'all recommend a point person, or can we talk more about who the point person would be for y'all's neighborhood or for the Washington Street Park that's representative of, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't mean that all
We need to go back and draw straws.
it doesn't mean that this would.
Okay.
This wouldn't mean that it would be just you, it's just that person, where if y'all are having individual meetings.
She took the best notes.
I love that.
She's on it.
So basically, my opportunity to give everyone, we'll have a meeting before September 1st, but if we could have an assignment of what your committee looks like, you know, and who's on it, and so that, you know, we can start the buzz, but know who it is that we need to always make sure.
They've already got an outline, maybe you all can have an outline of activities that you think will, so that you've got something based on, what might be going on.
And you said a lot of stuff today that were great ideas.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if we could get that by September 1, because it is the summer, I know that we can say, let's meet next week, and then everybody's on vacation. So we will try to meet again to flesh out. There's lots of more things to talk about, the food thing, you know.
Bonnie, if we give you names of people on our list, would they be included on in your mailing list, or would you only send to one person?
That's a great question, and I don't have an answer. Okay. Yeah. It would be nice if we could just give to one and then y'all disseminate to your committee. Okay. Is normally how I've done things. Okay. But again, we want this feel of community. No one's excluded. Everybody's included. No ideas back. You know what I'm saying? That feeling. So I don't want, if that would make somebody feel not included, but it is.
I'll think about that.
Thank you. And the other thing is, because this is a city thing, you'll be seeing more and more of it, you know, probably on our page on the cultural district as we flesh things out, and Candace puts things on paper. So I think you'll see it's all going to be much more cohesive.
I see something too, that with whatever sort of team y'all pull together, and you may have a primary steering group, you know, that does the part, and y'all too, that we could have whole meetings, you know, with the group here too. You know, your primary 5 or your primary, you know, whatever it is, so that, because that brings more ideas and more sort of free flowing. And it also, and this is the key, and y'all know that you've done all this, is getting people to say, I will take that task and I will do that task. So, you know, whatever we can do to help that happen, if bringing them in the room helps.
Yeah, you know. So, I mean, I think that's eventually like that's eventually what it's going to end up being, with probably more of a monthly or bi-weekly meeting, you know, of this group. But a lot of it's going to be done in the neighborhoods. So, you know, I think, however y'all see that. Candace, do you have any words for organization?
No, I just want to reflect on what you said about a point person for each neighborhood. I think it's really crucial for neighborhoods to vet their own ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because this is your project, this is your hour, and if we include everybody in email, that's going to get diluted. So having a point person to not only represent, as a liaison, to not only represent this larger decision-making group, but also to help vet ideas and agreements, disagreements, whatever in your neighborhood, I think is, you guys know best, and you know.
I would submit, however, that as much as I agree with what you just said, I do believe that it's important for everybody involved to know that they're part of a big picture.
So a newsletter or something.
Whatever, call it whatever you want to. I mean, maybe it's an email, but whatever it is, it just seems to me that you don't want to give the impression that we are operating in a vacuum in Pigeon Point, but rather that we're part of a bigger organization.
Absolutely.
Well, and because I think meetings like this will be public, you know, they're certainly welcome always to come. So, but I agree with you, and I think something like a newsletter or at least a bulletin after each meeting as to what was accomplished, I think would be useful for everybody, because, you know, and I'm sure we can come up with something that's not too hard on Candace.
I get this feeling that the tasks are going to be just a few pages long. It's all right.
So is there anything else y'all would like to add? I mean, this is y'all's. Then we'll send out some meeting dates for the next time, and if in between you'd like to get your groups together and you would like to have anybody come and talk with you, if you're available.
Peggy, do you have anything to add?
No, I just think we need to keep the conversation going. Thanks.
Well, at this point, I just want to say thank you to each of y'all for being here, and I can't wait to see what this is, you know, because it's got a lot of opportunity for excitement. So, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be fabulous. It'll be a basketball. Good job again. Yes. You know, I would like to be there. You never get to